Well, so that's actually a really good segue into PR. I had a client call me. I have a car wash in New Jersey, and it is an auto spa. So it's, they don't cater to, but they appeal to upscale clients with nicer cars. And every now and then they suddenly come out of nowhere and say, I want a press release. So I have to go, okay. And then they tell me what they want. And I swear to you, 50% of the time when a client says, I want a press release, I have to say to them, this is not, I need to be honest with you. We can try this. This is not news. And one of the problems right now is people are doing a lot of great things, but the traditional media doesn't care until
Right.
So they've been doing an hour and a half every Monday morning of free car washes. I don't exactly know who they're appealing to. They're sort of a little bit mentally in the first responders, yada yada, but they're, on the one hand, their income is reduced significantly because they can only do exterior washes, which are $5, and they're letting people use their vacuum for free. Well, they have a service where it's up to $20, $25, and they have detailing, and they have this, and they have that. So they're already, operating on much smaller income, and they're still giving stuff away. So it is actually remarkable and lovely. But at the same time, Monday will be week 5 of 6 that they've been doing it, and then they're done. So they want to talk about this great thing that they did, but it's sort of screaming into a void. Yes, it's a great thing, and yes, it is newsworthy, but you almost have to wait for someone to be ready to do a roundup of everyone on your street, the good things they've been doing, to get it into an article. Unless you're doing something super extraordinary, like $13,000 worth of gift cards, $250,000 fundraiser. That's giving away an hour's worth of $5 car washes isn't going to necessarily get anybody's attention. So part of PR as a consultant is I have to bring people's expectations down a little bit. I, of course, continue to work through the conversation with them and come to find out they're going to start having food trucks in June if all goes well. Well, now you have 2 story elements. You have the charitable side, and you have this other new endeavor, community thing, different kind of eyeballs, so that you can brag a little bit, but you also have something for people to look forward to. So it is sort of a PR thing. How do we talk about the great things that we do that is bragging, and not humble bragging either? But how do you get people to listen? If you're at a party and somebody's bragging about themselves, how do you get people to listen? It's the same thing.
You leave.
Yeah, you leave.
So it's funny to be. Oh, good. So I have my first person I don't know. Hi, Krissa.
Krissa. I just saw Krissa yesterday, as a matter of fact. I'll let Krissa tell you about her wonderful jewelry store, but I just took a ring up there yesterday to have it appraised, and yeah, she's my go-to. So Krissa, hey.
Hi, what are we doing since I got here late?
We're just doing chatting.
Yeah, we're doing PR in your pajamas, but everybody in the group up till now knew each other, and now you're the first fresh meat that's come in. So tell, what's your store?
So I own Continental Jewelers.
Okay.
And I'm a single business owner. I don't have any partners, so I do it all myself. And certainly, I feel like we do I get feedback that we do a really good job with client outreach, but it's a lot of work. So I'd love to just hear a little bit about more if there's, there's plenty I don't know. I'm all homegrown. So, but yeah, no, we're it's an interesting transition point for a store like mine. So I'm just trying to gather ideas and thoughts on ways to move forward that make sense and are efficient. I don't have to work 24 hours a day. So we'll see. We'll see what I can get out of all this. So now it's been interesting though. Been really interesting.
Very
I was sharing with Carol yesterday, so she already knows all this.
Well, it was interesting because when I went in the shop yesterday, And I mean, the cupboards are bare, right? I mean, it's so sad. And it is, because she's had to take all of her beautiful jewelry out of, I hope it's okay to say this, Chris, so we're among friends, right? Yeah. And to put it away just for safety, for security, right? And so instead of walking into the shop with all these beautiful pieces,
Shiny stuff.
it's like bare shelves, and it's really hard. But and I was saying too that I can't imagine somebody coming in and buying an expensive piece of jewelry without seeing it. Although we talked a little bit about like branding, like Tiffany's. Okay, I trust Tiffany's, and if I was in the market for an expensive piece of jewelry, I'm not, but I would trust
You don't
Tiffany's.
need to be.
But I would probably still want to go and see it and touch it and try it on, and can't do that.
No, it's huge. I mean, online jewelry sales, I don't think jewelry sales in the past 20 years or 10 years, let's say, have really gone down. It's just, it's transitioned. People are very comfortable buying online. I told you, and they really just don't necessarily care about the quality anymore. They just go, oh, it's online and it's a website. They must be legitimate. They must be telling me the truth. It's in writing. I have to believe it. So, and it's not, it's really scary out there. The things I see, I'm like, are you kidding me? But people are really comfortable with buying that way. And I think they're going to be more comfortable now. And we do have an e-commerce site, not that that's important right now. I'm sorry to be taking all this time, and we do sell a little bit from it, but not much.
And how do you handle fakes? I mean, it's, hi, my name's Heather. I work for the Kenny Family Foundation, and I'm on here too to learn a little bit from JulieAnne about the PR in your pajamas. But how do you deal with fakes? My dad, for my mom, for my third anniversary, he was all excited. He bought her a Yerman bracelet, and he said, I got it on eBay. And I said, did you look at the guys? How do you know it's real? He's like, well, it's stamped. I said, Dad, he has 230.
Oh my God. And Tiffany, there are so many fakes out there. And it's just, you deal with, like, because we see them, like, we can recognize, I would say 80% of the time we're comfortable calling if it's authentic or not. And 20% of the time we just stay away from it because we're like it doesn't feel right, but we can't tell you what's not right about it. So we just won't sell it. But no, oh my God, I can't tell you how much, and the dollar difference.
Yeah.
I've had so many customers get taken, buy things on eBay, bring them in for me for like insurance documentation. And we look at it and we're like,
and the sellers are gone within like a minute.
Price for it. They paid thousands too much. And we're like, look at this. Like, you can tell that's not the quality. It's not the total weights. Like, there's ways for us to authenticate the pieces. Like, we know that's what we do. Yeah, it is. I mean, and people think they're getting a great deal and they're not. But here's the thing. If they walked into a retail store and bought that same item and found out it wasn't real, they would be marching back in. And they just go, oh, well, let the buyer beware. I got taken. They don't even send it back. They just keep it, even though they spent, I mean, I had one woman who spent $8,000 more than what she should have.
Oh my God.
And she was just like, that's my own stupidity. And I was like, wow, must be, that's a lot of stupidity to be thanking, But yeah, it's a really, but it's people, as I said, it's a real different mindset. And that's what I'm trying to figure out how to juggle, move into, but we only want to do it the way we do it. So that's like, we authenticate pieces. People can feel comfortable with their buying from us. Yeah. And I don't know.
Are you open for appointment only now? Is that how you're allowed to be open?
Yes. We're just taking appointments, and we're kind of, I was saying to Carol, we're kind of crawling through this, figuring out all the sanitizing procedures and how many people we can see at a time. And we're getting there. And we will have merchandise out in the cases. Our insurance company's just having a fit. Like, it has to be limited. So We're working through all that. We're getting there. It's just a slow process.
Not even just like gemstones and things, but even just like the metals. Like, I'll admit, I've been ring shopping online, and I'm really paranoid that that a plain ring that doesn't have any jewels on it is going to come in and be like garbage, and then I have like a ring sizer, but I don't really know if I'm picking the right size, and then I got to do returns. So I'm glad I now know a jeweler, because I'm going to send you what I was looking at. Maybe you can find me the best version of it.
Well, and like and the quality issues, like people like this really delicate little stuff, and there's different ways to do the delicate little that you're going to wear it twice and it's going to bend, and you can wear it 10 years and it still won't be bent. But it's in the manufacturing. It's in the manufacturing, and people don't know that. They just go, "Oh, it's $200. I'm just going to buy it. It doesn't matter." I don't know. There's always been a little bit of that, but it's definitely a little more intense now. But
well, good. Authenticity is part of what we're going to talk about a little bit in here. So,
good.
So everybody in this video right now is definitely going to be down with that. So do you guys want me to get going?
Yeah.
So three of the people in the group know me pretty well, but I bet you there's things about my background you don't know that brought me here to be in PR. Krista, I am most widely known for the Delaware Burger Battle. It's a charity event that would have been in its 9th year this year. I think we're up to like at least $70,000 in donations, probably more than that now. I expanded it to the grilled cheese battle 2 years ago. That's obviously, that was a May event. If you haven't heard about it, it's because of course we're not having it this year. And it's not widely known yet, but I can't do the Delaware Burger Battle this year either. The restaurants are not going to be ready. Getting sponsors, I think, is dodgy. You know, Heather's company has been a sponsor, and it's hard for me morally to proceed when I know that the funds that I would be taking for sponsorship could be going directly into direct services. We raise money for the Food Bank of Delaware, among other charities, and boy, do they need the money in it, and it's gut-wrenching to not be able to do it. But at the same time, I'm still going to put forth effort. I may not raise $10,000 for them, but I'll still put forth effort, and so will my team, and so will the Burger Battle loyalists. We'll make sure that we're raising money for the same purposes and cut me out as the middleman. So I don't actually make any money off of it. It's 100% pro bono. I do have other things that make money that I can't do, and the thing that I do pro bono is the most gutting of all of them. But at the same time, it is the thing that will bounce back. Heather's been a consistent supporter for, I think, all 9 years. Gabby is on my team. Carol is a regular attendee. So I'm preaching to the choir here.
I love the Burger Battle. I love them. I remember last year I was so mad I couldn't go to the mac and cheese one.
Yeah. So,
not mac and cheese, grilled cheese. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, maybe I'll get to do mac and cheese. I haven't done it yet because there's one in Dover at Fordham and Dominion, and I don't like to step on anybody's toes. But up here, and it always sells out, so there's a market for it up here. We'll see. And so before Burger Battle, what I was really known for around town was nightlife promotions. My husband is a DJ, and a sort of a specific genre, very nightclubby kind of stuff, not like radio music. And in order for him to have opportunities to play, I would create events. And so I would partner up with restaurants. And sure enough, at some point, a restaurant owner saw what I was doing and said, well, can you do that for me? And that's how I ended up getting into all the different things I'm about to describe to you today. I started my business, I think I'm 13 years in now. I started it with the intention of being just like a traditional PR firm. I saw within the nonprofit community that no one did PR. There were agencies that did marketing, but unless it was like a big firm like ABC, they wouldn't do any PR for you. So I thought that there was this big market for me to branch out on my own, and everyone would hire me, and I would do press releases and press conferences, and then I got out and they couldn't really afford it either. So so the market didn't really support traditional PR, but the media was changing. What was brand new at the time that I started my business, about a year beforehand, constant contact became a thing. Well, guess what I learned how to do? I worked at Opera Delaware, and every time someone quit their job, I'd learn how to do it. So I've been a director of operations. I've been on the production side. Amy Watson-Bish, actually, her boss quit as a marketing director, and then Amy was a marketing manager. And as each one of them quit, I learned how to do their work. So suddenly I find myself with constant contact skills. MySpace was the thing at the time. I was doing lots of MySpace promotions. And so I went out in the world a little bit.
Loved MySpace.
Yeah, I was a little bit ahead on the tech game when I went out and started my business. So here I am promoting on MySpace, and then Facebook was new. A guy that I was a friend, a guy friend of mine was just graduating college, even though I was like 35. And he insisted that I get on Facebook to see pictures from his graduation party. That's a whole thing. I went to a college graduation party with a toddler in tow. His parents were really baffled. But anyway, I digress. So I'm doing promotions on Facebook. There were no business pages when I first started. Then business pages rolled out, and restaurant owner saw the stuff I was doing to promote nightlife and said, "Can you do that for me?" I said, "Yeah, that's a job." And we figured out that would have been in 2008. And we started figuring out from there how you pay someone to do social media for you, what the rules are, what, even like down to what's ethical and what's not. So that was Dan Butler of Toscana. And, I really built my career on him. I was doing some other nonprofit stuff. So basically my background in PR kind of took a big swing around to social media, stayed a little bit in PR, took a swing around to event planning. So, but it still always circles around to being connected with the public and paying attention to what people like, what they don't like, getting people excited about things. And so, so that's sort of the basis. My background before that, I didn't go to college for marketing or PR communications. I was a philosophy major because that's a real winning skill set to leave college with. And then after that, I worked for Tom Carper when he first ran for governor. And we all thought we'd have jobs when he won, and that's not how that works. So I sort of went out there flailing, did some retail, did some this, did some that. Found myself in Baltimore. I moved around a little bit before that. Found myself in Baltimore at a temp agency. And at the time, the first job I had was the communications office at the Archdiocese of Baltimore. Now, in my head, I was just like an assistant. It took me years to realize that was sort of the foundation for the PR that I like to do. But my entire job was credentialing the press for a visit from the Pope. And so let's see, that would have been 1994. So the Pope was supposed to come, it was a big deal. And one day there was another temp in the office, and the boss says, "I need you to meet me on the roof." So we all head up to the roof with also the development director of the Archdiocese. And it was this big secret meeting because the Pope was sick and he was not coming. And the reason we had to have a secret meeting is because the boss said, "Everyone go home now and come back at 11 p.m. because at midnight we are going to start faxing this press release out to the press." So back then you did your faxes one at a time. You had to be standing there because if the fax got jammed, I don't think we were at the point where you could program your fax machine with a bunch of numbers, but also if you had the technology, we weren't doing it yet. So that was my first big PR situation where we had to let the newspapers know before the morning, and they had to make the announcement, and it was top secret. So it was all pretty exciting and obviously very memorable because we're talking about 1994 at this point. So it was I think it was another 10 years before I started doing PR again. And so once I launched my business, like I said, I thought there was this huge market and everyone was going to hire me, and there wasn't really any money for it. So I was doing this and that. Well, guess what is a genius thing to do if you have an ambition? Latch yourself on to somebody who's up and coming and offer to do something pro bono. So you guys have heard of co-working spaces. It's a very common phrase, but back in, gosh, I actually don't know what year it was, maybe 2010, co-working spaces were not well known, and this little group called the Coin Loft decided to launch a co-working space. And I said to them, why don't we do, I don't know if they asked me or if I presented it to them, but we decided to do a press conference. now press conference, I've done press conferences before for Tom Carper, so I knew how they worked, but I never like sort of created one from scratch with my own list of people. So I set it all up, and somehow this really cool project that launched got everyone's attention. And we had at least 7 or 8 different media outlets there, a couple of cameras, and you know, it was the major networks. And God bless these little coin loft guys who have all gone off to do these amazingly successful things, and they still give me like a ridiculous amount of credit for their success. I didn't do that much. I did one press conference, but I learned a lot about it. I built a lot of relationships out of it, and it fueled me, you know, it filled my tank for a really long time. So
I remember when you started it, it was 2009, because it was when I was doing all the Light Up the Queen stuff, and you were always downtown, and it seemed like everything was just going, it seemed like Wilmington was going to be the place, because it is going to be the place, just because there was all the co-working things, and Light Up the Queen was starting, and the stuff downtown, and it was, anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
it was a pretty exciting year. And I should say, to that end, I've been sort of involved in downtown revitalization stuff since the 90s. I worked at MBNA, but I wasn't an MBNA employee. And at some point we were moved, long story short, we were a charity that was housed within MBNA. And when they brought us downtown at some point. So I used to walk Market Street at lunchtime when there weren't cars on it, and there was no point in going past like the 6th Street, because nothing was going to be open. You know, Rainbow was there. You could still go shopping for polyester. You know, it was fun. So I've been probably doing downtown stuff since maybe 96 or something. So other PR experiences I've had in my life. I worked at the Delaware Children's Museum prior to their opening and about a year and a half after. And right at the very beginning, when we just opened, we held a gala, and it was, as far as gala goes, it was pretty great in this kind of blank canvas of a space. But a couple of days before the gala, we found out that the Vice President of the United States was joining us. So one of the things you have to be prepared for when you do PR is, if you really get that VIP that you want, there's something called an advance team. The advance team, and I remembered this from back in the campaign days, because when Tom Carper was running for governor, Al Gore was running for president and against George Bush, and there was a rally downtown in Dover. Advance team gets up on the roof to make sure there's no snipers, yada yada. So if you hear the word advance team, just be prepared for what the next few days of your life will be like. So the advance team comes in and they say words to me, and I can't even remember what they are, but they have to have basically like a central line for the media. And in the middle of whatever it is you're trying to pull off, the media has to be able to plug into these little outlets and run a feed directly out of your event. So in addition to the safety of the vice president, it increased our media presence. And, so it was all a good thing, but that's the thing about PR. You have to be ready at any point to get your butt handed to you, and you have to be able to pivot and react. You got to be able to answer the phone. If you're the consultant or the media contact, you have to know that you can get the client, the spokesperson on the phone. So if you ever do any PR, don't ever send out a press release when you're getting ready to go out of town. Or if you have something to do the next day, make sure you've got that. If you can't answer your phone, you have somebody there to answer it for you. So that's like a big PR lesson.
But JulieAnne, could I just jump in one thing? Because I love the fact that, in entrepreneurs, if you don't know how to do it, just say yes, right? You'll figure it out. Yep. Just say yes. If there's an opportunity, sure, I could help you with that. And then rally the troops and figure it out. So yes.
Yep. And I wouldn't say expect the unexpected, or I wouldn't say be prepared for the unexpected, but expect the unexpected. I do events, and you never know what's going to come up. You can't be prepared for everything, but you can be ready. You can have your, when I start the Burr Battle, I literally, once the event starts, I hand my phone to someone else, because there's no point in me trying to answer it. You answer it, come find me if you need me. So that's how I expect the unexpected. I make myself loose and free, and not tied up. Oh, there's a critter outside my door. I can hear it. Okay, so So the other like really great PR experience I've had specifically relates to the Burger Battle. I now have relationships with some of the TV networks, and specifically it's Fox 29. The Convention and Visitors Bureau stays in touch with the TV channels all the time. And when they want to come to town, like Bob Kelly comes to town to do a session, I always get the email, and hopefully I have something to promote. If it's not the Burger Battle or the Grilled Cheese Battle, it's Shakespeare, or it's, I'll find a client that has something going on. But so I've had in-person demonstrations where Bob Kelly gets to try grilled cheese. He loves that. We've had burger chefs come out, and he's tried a burger on the air. But the really exciting one was when we had about a day and a half notice to get to Philly to do a burger demo. So the first person I always call when I have an opportunity to be on TV is one of my most recent trophy winners. Guess what? The trophy winners, they know how to leverage their wins. So I got Joe Van Horn from Chelsea. He's, no restaurant people are early risers, and we had to be up in Philly at like 6:45, ready to cook burgers, ready to be on TV. Got to look pretty, got to know what you're going to do. You can't have some BS person running late. So then you get Mike Jarrett comes outside, tries the burger. They interrupt you. Forget about having a speech. You'll have some notes, but they interrupt you. You got to kind of go with the flow, whether it's Bob Kelly, Mike Jarrett. Expect for them to run the conversation, and you try to, follow through. Although Bob Kelly's very good about turning back to you and making you give your website URL. So that's another expect the unexpected. If I had a day and a half to make that happen, and I did. But guess what? You get the most eyeballs on TV. So that's the good real estate. So those are my really good PR experiences I've had that have gotten me here. So now if I would love to talk to you about sort of how I encourage people to do PR. So what used to be called public relations is now called earned media. Obviously, the opposite of earned media is paid media, but the reality is if earned media requires you to be aware of what level of pay-to-play a media outlet might be. There's less media real estate now, particularly in print. TV was always the hardest real estate to get. So when you think about print and TV, they're going to require the most hard work for your earned media and a high risk of not getting anything delivered for your hard work. So remember, you can call it PR, but if you think about it, earned media, it kind of gives you an idea of what you're going to have to put in and what the ROI of that effort might be. The big thing, PR is not about write a press release and send it. Anybody can do that. There's services all over the place that do that. Really good earned media is about building relationships. And I was thinking about making a dating analogy, but I'm with my husband for 26 years, so I really have no experience in modern dating. But what you really want to do, and this is why it's PR in pajamas. I'm working my butt off right now, but a lot of people have a lot of downtime. They might be out at the house networking. They might be, going, doing some retail therapy. And now would be a time to take little bits of time you have in the day and build some relationships. And this is the way I would recommend doing it for PR. Pretty much all the reporters that you have any interest in being in contact with have a public social media presence. All the way up to TV anchors, they all tweet. A lot of them have Facebook pages. They may have interns that manage them. They may have editors that manage them. I'm in the food business. I work for a whole bunch of restaurants. Patty Tallarico, she posts on social media a ton. Like I said, Bob Kelly from Fox 29, he's on social media a lot. Right down to there's Sarah Gamard is a person who's writing for the News Journal right now, and she's writing a lot about COVID, how COVID is affecting people's lives. She accepted my friend request. So connect with people on social media. Pick the outlet that you like the most. You don't have to suddenly become a professional on Twitter to be able to stay connected with someone. But if that's the only place where that person is, you may have to go there. And the big advice, and Gabby will back me up on this, just don't be like spammy or stalky. There's a little bit of stalking involved in social media, and that's why I was thinking about dating. You remember when you were young and dating, you might drive by someone's house? And you could do that every once in a while and get away with it. If you drive by every day, someone's going to notice, and well, now they'll just straight call you out on it. But be a little bit stalky, but not spammy. So I get a ping every time Patty Tallarico posts something on social media. That's stalky. I'm not the first commenter in every single thing she puts up, because that would be freaky. But I think
stalky might be the fact that I look up everyone on Court Connect before I would even go leave the house to go meet them.
What's it called?
It's called Court Connect. You can see all their court records.
Genius.
Oh my gosh, really?
It's Delaware government. I mean, it's something you can see. You can see all their bills, their fights with their creditors, their fights with their landlords.
Is this before you go to meet somebody for a date or a professional meeting?
Well, I haven't been on a date in a while, and that might be one of the reasons at this point.
Yeah. So
no, honestly, someone asks for a big donation or something, I'll be like, they don't seem very legit to me. Ding-a-ding-a-ding.
That's good. Building relationships also means you got to trust your gut and, pay attention to the, what's going on in the community around you. And that's a way to do it. Actually, avoiding certain people is sort of key to earned media, because if you get yourself associated with some individuals that are known for doing some shady stuff, you may have to do some reputation cleaning. So, it's not a bad thing to do. So the big lesson there is be a tiny bit stalky, don't be creepy, and you don't have to be the first one commenting on every social media post. That said, if Patty posts a recipe, I might try the recipe, or I might comment on success I've had with a similar thing. If she posts about a new restaurant, I might say, oh, how exciting. I don't want to be the first person up in there every time, even though I get a ping. If I catch on to a rumor, I will message that to her. Hey, did you hear about blah, blah, blah? That's a really great way to build a relationship with a reporter, is give them a little bit of scoop, even if you're not the source. And then you can be clear about, I don't want to be quoted, but I heard. It's a great way to build a relationship. I don't know about the jewelry industry, but I'm sure there are people that write about retail, or there are people, you have industry publications. So, Carol, you've got business contacts. So you don't have to drop them, scoops, but just think of ways for them, out of all the people they connect with in a day-to-day basis, a way for them to remember you in a really positive way. Do it. Now, the flip side of all of this, that's not creepy, is just not to be too salesy. And this goes back to authenticity. I know a lot of people. Lots of times, people in certain industries look at me and go, you would be perfect for this. LuLaRoe leggings, Arbonne, energy credits, or whatever. 3 times a year, somebody comes to me and goes, you should be on my team and sell this thing. Well, guess what? I'm a PR professional. The minute I start trying to sell you something that you never asked for, doesn't have anything to do with you, and I'm just trying to sell it to you because you have money in your wallet, no. The Delaware Burger Battle, I sell it, but I don't try. If somebody goes, I'm a vegetarian, I don't go, well, you should come anyway. That would be salesy. I actually do. I will say, we have 1 or 2, vegetarian burgers, but you know what? If you want to be involved, I would love to have you as a volunteer. So yes, I have something to sell, but it's not like a used car salesman. It's not like, it's not like leggings. So think about your authenticity in what you do, and make sure that you are, you're not, and look, it's all ladies in this group. You're not that guy. The sales guy who's got the jokes, he's got the dad jokes, and he's doing the finger guns.
Run.
That will not help you in earned media. that if that's sort of your skill set, there's another way for you to do business, and that's not it. So I would say, that is my biggest takeaway from PR is build relationships. It might even be, and I'll get to cross promotion in a minute, and I don't want to run out of time, but that's the biggest thing. Find a way to build relationships, and that's how you do it in your pajamas. You've got time now. Follow people on social media, get notifications when certain people post things. Find new people. Now's the time to start building your PR list. Look up the email address of that reporter who always writes about stuff that's interesting to you or that is relative to your business. Find the email address for someone whose email you could never find. Sometimes newspapers and magazines don't, and especially TV, they don't put the email addresses of those people because they don't want you emailing Bob Kelly. But find out who Bob Kelly's, producer is, and introduce yourself to that person. And actually, I guess this Convention and Visitors Bureau pays attention to me because I have an event that draws people. But if you have an organization that you can be a member of, make sure they know that you, like your jewelry store could be a great venue for something, or make sure they know you would come and talk for a minute about something new in your industry, or you show something off, or, if there's a fashion show, you join up with them, and if you loan jewelry for a fashion show, be part of the PR. And here's another thing about building relationships. The other kind of relationship is to become an expert. Whenever somebody wants to do an article on jewelry, it would be great that they know to call Krista Cohen. If someone's doing an article on women's networking organizations, if Carol's not the first person they call, I'd be shocked. So become a subject matter expert in something, and make sure everyone knows you're willing to talk. Make sure everyone knows you're willing to put your face on a video. Listen, Zooms give me so much anxiety. I'm actually losing my voice right now. But make sure you're, I go on camera, I'm like, make sure you're willing to be that voice. Make sure you're ready to be quotable. Make sure you can turn around a quote for a reporter who's on deadline. That's a really great way to build relationships, not just directly with the reporters, but with the people who can call you in as an expert.
Yeah, just to cut you off for a second, J.A., the providing a quote is so important. I always say to people, I'm like, I just speak in sound bites. Basically, like, you have 5 seconds to say something important to them because they need a quick quote. And from my experience working in television, I know how to speak in sound bites. And so I can be interviewed, say something in 2.5 seconds, and then they get the shot and they're done and they move on. So just getting your elevator pitch ready, before an event or before you're going to speak, and getting those sound bites ready is going to forge that relationship super well with that reporter and that camera person, because they don't have to do 2 or 3 takes with you. Yeah, they get what they need and they're out of there.
And that also goes back to what I said before, be able to answer that phone, answer the phone. Yeah, we all like to screen our calls, but call people back right away, because you never know when there's a media opportunity where you can be that soundbite. Something just flew right out of my head. I know at the very beginning of this talk, we talked about a value to the client. I have to sometimes talk my clients down from an idea that they think is press-worthy, but I'm like, listen, if you've just changed your specials so that you have half-price beers, that's not a news story. If you have suddenly decided that you have exclusive partnerships with the newest Delaware brewery, and all your taps are going to be Wilmington Brew Works, somebody might care about that. Wilmington Brew Works is established enough now that maybe not so much, but if the next brewery that comes out and you're going to make your restaurant, that brewery, that's probably a news story. So what you have to think about, that's part of building the relationship, is knowing, what does that reporter write about? What do they seem to care about? You don't have to think about what sells newspapers, but they have to. So if you just have to think about, if if I leverage my relationship for this real estate, is it something that keeps the income flowing so that they will respect the things that I contribute to them? If you keep firing at the same reporter, pardon my French, bullshit after bullshit after bullshit, they'll tune you out. So just make sure you think about, is this really newsworthy? Or is it only a little bit newsworthy and it's worth a shot? Or am I really just, throwing out noise? So I won't stay on that too long because everybody's in different industries and my examples might not be all that great. One of the things that, if every professional you talk to will have a different opinion on this, the formatting of a press release, I think, is actually important. I'll tell you too, you can go online and you can find a template, you can follow that, and that's great. Follow the template. One thing that is a big debate is how AP language, the AP style. There is some talk about if you can figure out how to write your press release in AP style, theoretically, it could get picked up by some of the wire services, yada, yada. But that's very technical. What you really want to think about, besides like grammar, syntax, yada, yada, think about how many times you see a paper, Cape Gazette does it, some of those like Middletown transcripts and things like that. Just take your press release in its full entirety, copy and they paste it and they hit save and you've just gotten free PR. If there were terrible typos in there, if it was awkwardly written, they might look at it and go, I can't copy and paste this, and then discard it. So remember that the way you write and how it's formatted and your typos and your spelling actually do increase the likelihood that you'll get some of the really easy low-hanging fruit PR. If you have someone in your life who can read that stuff for you, so ask somebody to help. It's, people who write for a living don't really mind doing that stuff. Unless you're a hot mess, then you might have to hire someone. But this is the thing that from one person to the next, they will give you different advice. I do not send unsolicited attachments to the media. Think about how many times somebody sends you something and you are very nervous to open it because you think it might be a virus or whatever, a bot or what have you. I don't care if it's a Word document or a PDF or a photo. I don't send it. I write my press release. I take the whole thing, copy, and I paste it into the email. So, A, I'm not sending them the attachments, but guess what else? Guess how easy it is for them to copy the whole thing, paste it into the Middletown transcript, and hit send. So don't send unsolicited. If you have photos that you have to send, maybe create a Dropbox folder and send them a link so they can find it. Not every reporter can do that, but I don't send things that they didn't ask for. It looks like they're getting ready to boot us out of the room. One of the tips I was just going to say is have a photo ready with your press release at all times. If you don't have, I don't have a headshot. I've never gotten a professional headshot. Everyone's got time on their hands. Try some different lighting in your living room with a cool like wall backdrop. Try it. If you don't have a headshot, give it a try. We know Carol has great headshots because she uses them in all her ads.
Well, those are Paul Pruitt shots. Paul is the best. Unfortunately, he's not shooting anymore, but it's so much fun working with Paul. I love it.
So just have a picture ready when your press release goes out, even if you don't send it, because we don't send unsolicited attachments, but have it ready. You guys are the best.